May I greet you all with the supreme light and the radiant love of the Great Spirit.
Thank you.
Perhaps you can feel the energy of peace and stillness here. And that is attributable to you all, to your warmth, to the power of your thoughts, and to the love that emanates from you. It is palpable. And it is essential for the operation of spiritual laws that permit me to operate in this way, work in this way through this instrument. Because you know your world is dark, it is dismal, it is heavy, it is gross, and it is filled with so many who labor under misguided beliefs or under the influence of oppression, whose lives are blighted by fear, by the cancer of fear. But where there are the human hearts, such as yourselves, by which we can warm ourselves, then there is cause for renewed hope and optimism, because it means that once again the bridgehead that comes between our worlds has been forged, and this great benign power can cross over into your world, bringing with it all the richness, all the bounty, all the beauty of mine. As I always say, and tonight is no exception, I am merely the ambassador to assist this power. I am only the messenger. What matters is not myself as an individual, but the message, the truth that I impart, because it is truth that is the liberator of souls. It is truth that will ultimately set you free from whatever material bondage you have become enmeshed within. So think about what I say. Allow your reasoning mind to cogitate upon it, to examine it from inside and out. If it does not sit right with you, discard it. Put it like a book to gather dust. But if it resonates with you, allow it to enter into the deepest recesses of your being, to set you free from any misconceptions that you hold, so that your spirit can soar like the eagle to the proverbial heights of enlightenment. As always on these occasions, I don't come to adhere to any man-made principles or isms. Whilst I respect your beliefs, I also come in some regards to challenge them and to hopefully expand them, or to enable you to expand them yourselves to greater heights of understanding. Now it was, I think, if my memory serves me well, around about 22 years ago that I operated in this fashion through this very instrument, speaking in the great hall of the Arthur Findlay College to a gathering similar to this, perhaps more in number. And I spoke then about the coming together of science and spirituality, that these two extremes, as they appeared to be, of understanding and knowledge, were coming closer and closer together and would merge into one. I don't know how many people that day believed what I said, but I'm sure you will agree that it has come to pass and is continuing to do so. I also spoke about the universe, the beginning of the universe, and that the Big Bang, as it is referred to, was not the commencement of all time and space and matter, but was an event within the continuity of life. That there had been many previous to this, and that there would be many to come. And even this now is becoming to be understood by science. Now, in any new paradigm, in any new shift, there has to be a means to convey information. There has to be a language that can be used to express it. If, for example, you think of music, I know that there are some musicians here amongst you, and I'm sure you would agree that you can play an instrument, you can play music without having the ability to read it. Simply by knowing the notes and the chords that enable you to express that music either through the power of the voice or through the instrument that you have chosen to play. But when it comes to a master symphony, when it comes to a very complex arrangement involving many players and many instruments, it is better, is it not, if there is a structure, a mechanism in place, so that music can be read, like reading a book, so that many people can read it and play that score in harmony, in unison. Now, science is no different. And as science has delved first into the macrocosm of space and then into the microcosm of the quantum worlds, so new language has had to be found to describe what they are seeing. Mathematics, for example, has to have been developed with new forms of mathematics being created to describe the phenomena of the quantum world. And language itself, with new words and new metaphors and new descriptive phrases being developed to describe the operations and the laws of the quantum world. This is how it has to be. Now, in terms of spiritual understanding, you will find that we, spirit guides, have always delivered to you the truth as we understand it. But as new understanding is coming about to understand and recognize that truth in a scientific way, so we also must adapt our teachings and our language so that you can understand it. If you look back through the teachings, shall we say, of Silver Birch, or Red Cloud, or Ramadan, or White Eagle, you will find none, if any, references to quantum physics or unified fields. Not because it was not known, but because the language was not available in your world in sufficient readiness or understanding. You would not have understood what was being given. And so the truth had to be adapted as it is today to the level of understanding of those to whom it is dispatched. Now, you may say, well, where is this heading? Well, you may have heard the term, scientifically, of a unified field. The unified field, dark energy, dark matter, These are scientific terms to refer to the same force, the same power that your spirit helpers and the seers and prophets down the ages have spoken to you of. The unified field, which is everywhere throughout the universe and beyond, is the same as the spirit world. I exist within the unified field. I exist within dark matter, within dark energy. But science prefers to use this terminology rather than spirit world or afterlife. They're not comfortable with that, you see. They have to have their own phraseology. But the point is this, that the unified field has been recognized. The spirit world has been recognized by science. And indeed, there are many enlightened scientists who know that life continues after death, that death is only a transition. Now, we've always said that, haven't we? But to have it verified, be it in a scientific framework, through scientific language, is still a wonderful thing. But you, who are on the cutting edge, have to be open to it. You mustn't close your mind to it. You mustn't say, because it's new language, because it's something that I'm not familiar with, therefore I'm going to stick to what I know. I'm going to stick to the teachings of this guide or the language of that guide, because that will hold you back. You have to embrace this paradigm shift. You have to understand this language, because it is here to stay. And it will take you into the realms of deeper understanding and awareness. Now, a key element to this unified field that you will hear more about over the coming years is the key component of consciousness. Now, I have always said that you are the Great Spirit. You are infinite consciousness. That is what you are. You are consciousness having a human experience. You are consciousness first. You are spirit first. You are human second. It is the spirit, the Great Spirit, consciousness that has come into this vessel, that is using this vessel to give you, through the power of reasoning mind, the ability to think and reason and gain understanding and awareness of what you are. And science is beginning to recognize this. Furthermore, they have discovered through their experimentation that when they look in the quantum field, when they look at atoms and smaller quantum particles, the very act of observation changes the results of the experiment. What this means is the power of the observer, the power of consciousness is changing the outcome of the experiment. There's an interaction there. There's an exchange of energies. If you take this to a greater scale, they have even said that the reality that you experience, the life that you live, the world that you experience, and the universe of which that world is a part, only exists when it is observed. It only exists when consciousness observes it. Now you may say, well, I can't go with that. It's ridiculous. Because there was a time when there was no consciousness upon earth to observe it. There was no humanity. There were only the dinosaurs, or if we go back to the beginnings of life, there were only microbiotic forms in the primordial oceans. Consciousness consciousness as you know it, individualized as in yours, but the consciousness of the Creator. And science will be forced to come to terms with this. It will be forced to recognize that without consciousness, without the oneness of consciousness in life, there is no life. There is no world. There is no universe. And they may be reluctant to accept this, but accept it they will, because they are going down alleys that lead always to this same outcome. However they try and ignore it, however they try and fashion an excuse or come up with this equation or that equation, it never quite balances. It never quite adds up, because the key component of consciousness cannot be excluded. So you are part of infinite consciousness. You are part of the Great Spirit. You always have been, and you always will be. And when you realize that, you then come into that state of enlightenment that recognizes that whatever you do to other aspects of life, whether it is human or animal or the planet, you are actually doing to yourself. If you harm something or someone, you are harming yourself. If you heal another, if you uplift them, if you help them, you are healing yourself. You are helping yourself. Because the law is reciprocal. And what you give out into consciousness comes back into consciousness. This is the truth of the Great Spirit. As you sow, you reap. And we have always said this. So this is a reality. And science and spirituality are forging this paradigm shift. They are forging this new awareness. And you must be open to it. You must go with it. Don't deny it. Don't hold on to your old beliefs, because if you do that, you might as well encompass a religion. You might as well encompass something that has not moved forward in centuries. You have to realize that the truth is a living force. It is always there. If it was true yesterday, it is true today and will be true tomorrow. But the expression of it, the understanding of it, the meaning behind it, the language of it has to change, because this is the way of things. Do you understand what I'm saying? So perhaps this will give you something to ponder upon, something to think upon. There's an old Chinese proverb, that says, may you always live in interesting times. And you certainly do. But you are living also in challenging times, because the truth that I'm speaking of, the paradigm shift, the awakening consciousness, is on one level. But on the other level there is darkness, there is ignorance, there is greed, there is selfishness, and all the opposites of light in a counterbalance. And these are trying to pull you back. These are trying to hold you, trying to enclose you in their field of ignorance. What you have to do is to resist that, not in a violent way, but assuredly in a way that is born out of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. Because always I say to you that the light is stronger than darkness. You can take darkness into a room of light and it is vanquished. It has no power. But if you take your light into the darkness, then also the darkness is vanquished. Its power is gone, because the light is greater than the darkness. So think upon these things, and you will find that you will hopefully have an inspirational movement that will enable you to free yourselves from these shackles. And there is no greater knowledge than this. There is no greater truth than this.